The fact of the matter is a lot of people are doing manifesting wrong, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that. And I'm talking about not just people who are looking at free YouTube videos to learn more about manifestation, but even people I've taken through kind of advanced level courses, where, we always get to the point where they're manifesting a lot of stuff because they're going into this deep and they're committed. But at the beginning of those courses, I see this really common mistake, and I'm going to give you a really vivid analogy to why this causes most people to suck at manifesting. And you suck at it when you're just not bringing in the things that you're excited about, that you desire, that your heart desires, right? When you're going through all these techniques and you're like, why aren't the things I want coming in? Well, there's a few crucial reasons for that. Now, the crazy thing is I think a lot of people, when it's not happening, think it's because there are these complex things they need to know they're not applying, so they go and try other things, a new technique, a new way of doing this. And that's not usually the reason. Usually it's people trying to do too much, getting in their own way. And with the analogy I'm going to give you and what I'm going to give you here to explain why this is the case. And I'm sure when it comes to manifesting at this point, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled and focusing on that like a laser beam is so paramount. Remember, you can only focus on one thing at a time. As I do this video, I can't focus on multiple things at a time, or else I'm going to be insanely distracted. And what really is happening when you think you're focusing, like you're multitasking, you're not. What you're doing is you're very quickly going back and forth between one and the other. But if you're trying to grow energy here, and then you're moving to here, and then you're starting again here, and then you're starting again here, does it ever allow the energy to grow in whatever it is that you're focusing on? Does it ever allow that energy to expand and become more coherent and become more just high conscious if you're not focusing on it long enough? Well, let me ask you, if you go to the gym and you focus on an exercise for a second, then immediately onto the next one for a second, then the next one, are you going to gain muscle? So even though you're well-intentioned, you're in the gym, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get stronger or healthy. But if you focus on a particular workout plan, you give your full focus like a laser to that plan, and you do all the things necessary for the allotted time, exactly the amount you need to focus on it, well, are you going to get results? Absolutely. Now here's the fun thing. Things we do from the internal world happen much faster than, say, the physical world, like working out. Like if you want six-pack abs and you want to be insanely muscular, it's going to take a bit of time. But the cool thing about manifestation, when you understand that you come from the inner world and when you focus like a laser beam, things can happen quickly. So here's the analogy I want to give you. A lot of people, when it comes to manifesting, focus on a million different things at once. I want this and I want that. It's because we're excited. We are starting to realize, holy crap, I can create my reality. You're doing it like a buffet. You're like, or a menu, like I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that. Now, it's not to say you couldn't necessarily at some point have everything on that menu. But if you focus on everything at once, it's like doing this. This is the analogy I want to give you. Imagine that you have a seed and you've planted that seed, and each day you have enough water and let's just say enough sunlight and everything else to really cultivate one seed really well, where it's going to grow at the exact right amount of time really quickly as nature dictates, and it's going to grow into a massive, beautiful fruit tree that bears the fruits that you want in your life. Well, let's say that's the case. You have this watering can and you're able to water one plant at a time, and the water is your focus, focusing like a laser beam, right? Focusing on nurturing this one seed. But then let's say you plant another seed and it's something different that you want, different kind of thing, and then another, and then eventually another and another and another until you have about 25 seeds in the garden. But you only have enough focus, enough nurturing to really grow one of these seeds. So you try and do 25 and you try and split up the water in 25 parts for all of these seeds. And you're trying to split up the sun exposure and everything that this seed needs, the attention, the nurturing that it needs, the focus like a laser beam that it needs. You're trying to do that for 25 different seeds. Guess what happens? None of them grow. You stay in place. You don't get any fruit. Now, how many of you have experienced this in your life? Where maybe you've been doing manifestation techniques or a bunch of other things for years, and maybe you've had signs and synchronicities or tiny manifestations come in. Maybe one of those seeds managed to have just enough to sprout a little bit beyond the surface, but certainly it hasn't grown into the massive big fruit tree that has led to a quantum leap or changed your life. And so this is how a lot of people approach manifestation. I want a million things. I'm going to try and water all these seeds and somehow focus on all of these things like a laser beam. But it just doesn't work that way. So here's the trick, is first to understand that you want to focus on something where you can assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So something you're actually excited about. And understand you're allowed to want what you want. You have a wanting, a desire, and I like to say a heart-based wanting, or like something your heart desires for a reason. That's not redundant. Your higher self, life, your guides, whatever you want to call it, has given you that feeling for a reason. And if you focus on this feeling and you ignore the rest of the things that are maybe not, they're exciting to your head, but not really what you want, you will start to water that plant. You will start to be giving it your focus. You'll be assuming the wish fulfilled of that tree already in your garden. All of the energy is going to that, all of the water you have available, instead of trying to split it between all this other stuff. And it will start to grow. Now here's the trick. And this is when, a lot of people like to get up in arms, I think, or in their head, they get overthinky, where they're like, well, I want all these things. If I don't focus on these things, it's just gonna take me longer. Well, I guarantee you, again, how's that been working? If you've been going years without manifesting because you've been focusing on a million things, it's clearly not working. But here's the trick. Here is how, by focusing on one thing, you can bring about multiple manifestations. This is the magic. Choose a manifestation. Choose something that resonates and aligns to your heart. That's important. You assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That implies that other manifestations would have to be in your life for that thing to be real, for that thing to come about. So what I recommend is having a scene that you continually visualize and crystallize. And this scene can be 15 to 20 seconds long. But in that scene, you will connect to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So for me right now, I have my scene is being in a particular home, and I'm having a certain graduation or kind of like accomplishment feeling, because that heightens the experience and the emotion. So it's like a graduation event, something that really excites you, because that gets that emotion up there. And I repeat this scene over in my head, about 15-second scene, over and over, and I'm just smiling and just connecting to that feeling of the wish fulfilled. But here's the kicker. Even though I'm thinking of one thing that's kind of being accomplished in a graduation, I'm seeing myself in this home, this dream home. My partner is a part of the scene. It's implying that also when this thing is accomplished, because of what it is, well, I wouldn't, for that to be accomplished, certain other things would have to come into my life. And so, by visualizing this scene, focusing specifically on the scene, what is the byproduct of that scene being real, of me focusing on this feeling, the feeling of the wish fulfilled of this particular scene? The byproduct is the home. The byproduct is the finances that come with it. The byproduct is the state of being that would come, and only would be able to come, these other things would come from that state of being. And so what is one seed you can water and plant, and one scene you can focus on while not trying to focus on a million other things? One scene you can get so good at visualizing that it seems so real every time you hook into it and connect to it daily. What is that one scene that, if that comes into fruition, and when I should say it comes into fruition in physical reality, even though internally you're going to feel, again, that it's already here, what would that scene have to also bring about? For example, if the scene is your dream job, wouldn't that come with more finances? So why do you need to visualize the finances as well when you can visualize the thing you're excited about, which is the dream job? Would that not also imply that you would be able to afford a dream home? Would that not also imply, maybe if it's a dream job and it allows you to work remote, you can now travel the world while you do it? So do you get the picture there? You're focusing on one thing that when it comes about in the physical, other things have to come about as a byproduct, instead of trying to focus on all these different seeds. Focus on one seed. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled as much as you can. And you'll get better at that, but as much as you can, and have that singular scene that you are giving those instructions to the universe. You are giving the blueprints, and you're continuing to focus on it. Life will start to, in nonlinear ways, bring about things that will help that come into fruition. And guess what? Some of those things that will come in will be building blocks that are needed to allow for that to happen, which may include more finances, may include the dream partner, may include all these things. But you focus on this one thing like a laser beam that implies certain byproducts. And suddenly you've grown this incredible fruit tree that does have multiple different fruits. So I hope that makes complete sense, guys. Now, if you want even more tactics, even more just techniques, you really want to commit to living a life where you can manifest like that, where you're living the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and that's manifesting quickly. We go over more stuff like this in my Facebook group, the Elite Transformation Experience, and we don't focus on little tiny incremental growths where it's people focusing on all these different things all at once. We focus on quantum leaps. you be going from the caterpillar to the butterfly, you going from where you are now to like the 2.0 you, like the higher version of you, the expanded version of you, where you're living that life. So if you're interested in that, go check out that Facebook group down below. Just make sure you answer the questions that pop up. It takes 30 seconds, but I say this all the time. If you do not answer those questions, I can't accept you into the group. But they're simple questions. It takes 30 seconds to answer those questions. I hope to see you over there. Now remember, guys, you are loved. You are a powerful co-created being. The universe wants to work with you to bring that beauty, that abundance, that opulence, that dream life in. But you got to learn how that works. Learn what doesn't work, which we went over in this video, and then just to keep the consistency and the focus on that feeling of the wish fulfilled, and watch what unfolds for you. Watch the fruit that starts to come into your life. See you in the next video.